realme 刚成立的时候，我们说过一句话：年轻人要赶越级，改变世界，不需要人资派辈。我们可以预见，5G 将会成为下一个时代互联网行业再一次爆发的催化剂。记住5G 这把钥匙，年轻人拥有无限的可能。但实际上，5G 尽管已经不是一个新鲜的概念，5G 手机的价格还是很高。去年，我问我们一个研发的 VP 一个问题：为什么不能让所有人都用上5G 手机呢？他告诉我，放弃4G 手机就意味着我们将失去至少500万台的销量。作为一个还在成长期的品牌，代价可能是毁灭性的。我就在想，创立 realme 的初衷就是要为年轻人提供越级的科技体验。realme 一直在喊赶越级，这不正是体现我们赶越级的精神的时候了吗？于是我们制定了一个目标，未来3年内至少要让全球1亿年轻人都用上 realme 的5G 手机。
When you go from 4G to 5G, the number of components going into each smartphone increases by 42%. The challenge was to keep our 5G devices thin and lightweight. And our solution was to massively overhaul and optimize the PCB structure. Currently, our 5G devices average 8.4 millimeters in thickness and 182 grams in weight. That makes them 0.5 millimeters thinner and 7 grams lighter than their 4G predecessors. We've also reviewed our 5G product lineup. So all of our 5G devices are priced between $150 and $600 USD. Our number series will be realme 5G entry-level Pioneer. Our Narzo series will rely on 5G tech to deliver the next level gaming experience. And realme's GT series will be our flagship 5G series. This is where you will see our boldest leaps in tech. Over the next 2 years, realme will be investing $300 million USD to build 7 R&D centers around the globe. Each of these centers will be tasked with R&D and the deployment of 5G technology and products. So young people all over the world will be able to get their hands on the devices of their dreams at prices they can afford.
2 years ago, when 5G was launched, there was just as much of excitement as of doubts. But if we look back just a few years back, when 4G was introduced in 2013 as a small upgrade of 3G, there were just as many naysayers. And look at where 4G is at now. Ride-hailing apps transformed the way we travel. Food delivery apps revolutionized the F&B industry. Live event streaming and short videos brought fantasy to life in the palm of your hand. If you ask me exactly what will 5G bring in the future, I say, I don't know. But that's the beauty of it. The endless possibilities in the technological advancement. I truly believe that 5G will be the key for this generation of young people. For the young people who dare to leap into the future, to create, to explore new territories. 5 years from now, when we look back on today, I hope we realize that 5G was never about speed. It was about the possibility that comes with it.
科技的伟大不仅在于创新，更在于普及。realme 要做5G 的普及者，让5G 成为全世界年轻人打开未来大门的钥匙。
Hello everyone, welcome to realme Regional 5G Talk. I'm Lawrence, realme Regional Product Manager. Today, I will be representative of realme region to share our 5G strategy and what we see for 5G future. In 2020, realme launched first 5G smartphone, the realme X50, and starting with it, we have been exploring new product design and technical innovations to bring better 5G experience. This year, Realme has more new 5G models, such as Realme 7 5G and Realme X7 Pro that is recently launched. However, Realme's goal is not only to bring good 5G products to users, but also Realme's goal is helping to accelerate the adoption of 5G technology to make more and more users enjoy the new future that 5G technology draws. According to the latest research from Canlı, there are more than 246 million 5G devices in 2020. That is also the second year after 5G network launched in the world. Compared with 4G launched period, you can find that 5G penetration has largely outperformed, and we can expect that more than 566 million 5G devices are connected this year. When we are talking with users, partners, and developers, we got tons of questions on 5G. However, there's one question that is asked a million times: why do we have 5Gs? Especially in those markets where 5G network even doesn't be clearly planned. Users don't think 5G will impair their life, no mention that 5G will change their future. That is the reason I'm being here to share our 5G product insights. In 5G smartphone, we can see more and more components to integrate into the model. More specification is coming with more new technologies. It is the trend. The leading experience will follow with more and more specs on 5G. There is something that you can find many specs updated in 5G models versus 4G models. For example, the resolution on the main camera and the front cameras are both increased on 5G models than 4G. You can also find the similar situation on memory and display. However, thanks to the better power consumption on 5G chips, the battery capacity is reversely getting smaller. More and more specs means that more leading technology could be realized on 5G models, and this condition is based on leading 5G speed processor. Let us share more details on 5G speed processor. As known, the 5G models could provide faster networks. But what's besides the networks? More powerful performance, higher processing ability, more efficient cooling system, and longer battery life, and so on. And these are all coming with a leading 5G speed processor. Let me give you a quick example. 1 year ago, we provide 4G performance on Realme 6, like the chart on the left. 1 year later, now we can provide more powerful processing performance on Realme 8 5G. Outstanding octa-core CPU performance makes Realme 8 5G get a higher performance score over than 300,000 points. We also see migrated GPU performance on Realme 8 5G. Thanks to stronger GPU, we can enjoy better and more smooth visual experience on our 5G models. Latest 5G processors are made in new productions as well. On Realme 8 5G, processor is made in 7nm production so that you can see better power consumptions, no matter listening to music, playing games, or calling. Leading 5G processors make longer battery life than 4G. That is why we say that new generation of leading speed flagship necessarily comes with the new generation of 5G speed processor. If you want to enjoy the latest experience that new generation tech processors brings, you must be a 5G leader because there are many features following except for 5G network. You don't need to wait for 5G network coming to have a 5G smartphone. Instead, you can have a 5G smartphone right now and enjoy everything new that 5G speed processor generates. Under this vision, Realme bring more and more 5G speed models to the markets, especially in this region. As a 5G popularizer, Realme will quickly raise the penetration rate of 5G models. This year, we already see 40% of 5G models in Realme roadmap. It is not enough. In 2022, we are going to have this number at 70%. Meanwhile, we also will continue to contribute on tech decentralization on 5G models. Leading experience should be enjoyed by everyone. In Russia, we already had Realme 7 5G. This year, we will be more aggressively to bring more leading 5G models to Russia. No matter the powerful Realme GT with Snapdragon 888 processor or the best value on 5G gaming models like Nazo series. Our plan is going to give Russian more leading models to meet users' stronger demand on leading experience. In Ukraine, we will have Realme 7 5G in the beginning of this year. In the coming future, Realme GT and Realme 8 5G will land in Ukraine soon. And we will also plan to bring 5G processors in different price segments to meet diversified user needs. In Turkey, though there's no clear plan on 5G network so far, we will plan to have some new 5G models as well. And GT will be the first 5G smartphone of Realme in Turkey. We won't let users wait too long. Our leading 5G speed flagship is on the corner. Let me share some more. As the first 5G model in Realme number series, Realme 8 5G will be launched to decentralize 5G technology. In Russia, you will see Realme 8 5G in June. In Ukraine and Turkey, we also have similar plans soon. Not only the leading 5G processor, but also 90 Hz display and brand new design. This will all give you a different 5G experience. Last, I believe that Realme GT, that many users are waiting, is also landing with the latest 5G processor, Snapdragon 888, and it is coming in July. 5G is not anymore an imagination that you cannot reach. Instead, 5G is already on the way. That is all my presentation today, and thanks for your attention. Looking forward to see you soon.
Hi everyone. Following on from our global 5G summit a few weeks ago, and as part of our world tour of some of the most important regions for 5G, today I'm going to talk about how 5G is making an impact in Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe and the CIS. 5G is a foundational technology that will fundamentally change how people live, learn, and work in Eastern Europe. But one thing that is very clear when it comes to technology, people tend to overestimate how quickly things will change, but underestimate how much things will change over a longer time span. So let's take a look at how these changes are taking place. The mobile industry as we know it today is little more than 40 years old, with new generations coming about every 10 years. 2G systems were launched almost exactly 30 years ago and are still with us. Around 20 years ago, third generation systems started to be rolled out. 3G improved data speeds, but not by much. The first modern smartphone, the Apple iPhone, launched in 2007, with the first Android phone arriving a year later. Now, these paved the way for the development of the smartphone we use today, with rich applications and, more recently, devices that partner with the smartphone, such as smartwatches and hearables. 4G technology arrived around 10 years ago, and 4G added much more data speed and became the backbone of the mobile industry. Now, 4G is impressive, but it is prone to congestion at peak hours, and there are limits to the number of devices that can be connected within certain locations. Anyone who has tried to use 4G at a busy train station, at a concert, or at a sporting event will be familiar with this. So starting in 2019, 5G started to roll out in a few countries around the world, such as South Korea, the US, and China. And this number has grown ever since, with around 160 networks in more than 60 markets available now. Across Europe, there are currently 77 live 5G networks across 30 countries, although most of these are in Western Europe. In Eastern Europe and the CIS, only 6 markets have so far launched commercial 5G services: Hungary, Latvia, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Uzbekistan. 5G alone is an important technology, but it is one of several that are significant. The impact of these technologies is not additive, but multiplicative. They will each support the others and allow new combinations of capabilities. 5G will be joined by, for example, new generations of Wi-Fi and the latest low-energy versions of technologies like Bluetooth to create ubiquitous connectivity. Artificial intelligence, and specifically machine learning, is another critical development. Now, I'm not necessarily about anything very radical here, but my phone, for example, knows when I am taking a picture of my children and will adjust the settings accordingly, or a service that proposes new music based on my previous listening history. These are subtle, but enhance my experience. And much of the machine learning takes place in the cloud. However, a trend we're now also seeing is the migration of some of that computing power towards the edge of the network, where content and computing resources can be provided to people in the local area, and that can speed up the delivery and responsiveness of services. New ways of interacting with technology and even with each other are also developing quickly. Virtual and augmented reality have taken a long time to develop, but progress is speeding up now. So what do these technology developments mean for a typical 5G consumer? Now, 5G ultimately is not really a consumer technology. It has far bigger implications in enterprise and industry, where it has the potential to revolutionize entire ecosystems. But that doesn't mean consumers can't benefit from the faster speeds and lower latencies on offer. It just means that people are using 5G, at the moment at least, to do more of what they already know and love. A recently published survey by Ericsson shows that consumers are using 5G to do exactly that, more. More cloud gaming, more streaming of high quality music and video, more use of virtual and augmented reality. In addition, 5G users are able to rely much less on Wi-Fi compared to 4G users. Now, this has been especially important over the last year or so, as many families are contending with both parents working from home, while younger members of the family are having to study from home. So the ability for one or more family members to work or learn via an unlimited 5G connection relieves pressure on strained fixed line broadband, which is a win-win for all. So what does this mean for the adoption of 5G so far? So this chart shows the proportion of global phone shipments that are 5G, and the grey dotted line shows the progression of 4G over the same period following its launch. Now, within the first year, 5G accelerated ahead of 4G, and the gap has been widening ever since. Now let's compare that to Europe. 5G was a little slower off the mark in Europe. It wasn't really a networks issue though. Those came along pretty quickly, especially in Western Europe, as I mentioned before, although coverage is still a bit patchy. It was more a case of a lack of devices. To begin with, it was only really the Samsung Galaxy S20 which sold in any volume, as there weren't really any other big name flagships available. The Huawei P40 struggled due to the lack of Google mobile services and pervasive anti-China sentiments, while other brands like Xiaomi, OnePlus, and Oppo initially suffered from a lack of brand power. That changed in the second half of last year. First, Oppo and Xiaomi released some attractively priced yet impressively spec'd 5G devices, for example, the Oppo Find X2 Lite and the Xiaomi Mi 10 Lite. And then Apple launched the iPhone 12, its first 5G smartphone. Now, most people would have bought the iPhone 12 because it was the latest iPhone, not because it was a 5G phone. But nevertheless, it gave 5G a boost across the region. We expect a bit of a dip this year, largely because of the component shortage issues and the ongoing pandemic. But regardless, 5G will remain ahead of where 4G was. So 5G is growing rapidly, but of course, adoption varies hugely by region. In more advanced markets like China, South Korea, North America, and Western Europe, between half and 3/4 of smartphones currently sold are 5G enabled. Meanwhile, other regions are still just starting their 5G journey or not really thinking about 5G at all in order to concentrate on making the most out of their 4G networks. Now, there are several reasons why 5G is taking off so quickly in many parts of the world, but one of the main drivers has been a more rapid reduction in smartphone prices than had been expected. In China, we saw that already by the end of 2020, competition had delivered some great products at affordable prices, with realme being the most aggressive with its V3 5G at around $145. Realme is also popularizing technology across many other countries around the world, with a series of compelling products with great specifications at surprisingly affordable prices. So what does this mean for the next few years? Now, given the rapid diffusion of 5G technology through the price tiers, we can expect 5G devices to make up just under 40% of phone shipments in Europe this year, overtake non-5G phones next year, and then account for almost 90% by 2025. The initial focus of 5G in Eastern Europe is likely to be on enhanced mobile broadband to add capacity in hotspot areas and to offer higher network throughput. With fiber broadband access already a mature market in some countries, in Russia, for example, 5G-based fixed wireless access services may find opportunities limited in the short run. Now, although IoT and enterprise solutions, such as for smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and public security systems, are being explored, they will take time to develop. So who will be the major players in 5G? Now, looking at the competitive landscape, we can expect some changes ahead. Every generation of cellular technology has seen a different mix of players take the lead. In the 3G era, it was Nokia, with Samsung taking over in 4G. Apple rapidly gained share, followed by Huawei, although the latter faced significant challenges starting in 2019, which led to a rapid decline. As we look ahead to 5G, the list of players is likely to continue to include Samsung and Apple, and be joined by Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo. However, realme is one of the fastest growing brands thanks to its appeal to younger users who are bound to form a core part of the 5G market. And this is what the current 5G competitive landscape looks like in Europe. Apple currently dominates and accounts for over half of 5G phones sold in Europe in Q1 this year, as well as the top 3 best-selling 5G devices. Samsung has done pretty well with the Galaxy S21 series since launch, and Xiaomi has made an impact too with its Mi 10T series. And if we look ahead a few years, we think the European 5G market will look something like this. And we expect Samsung to regain 5G leadership, largely thanks to its scale, as more and more of its devices become 5G enabled. Apple and Xiaomi will likely remain in the top 3, but a number of other vendors will also be part of the battle, especially Oppo, realme, and OnePlus. In terms of the wider benefits, 5G will have a transformative impact on both consumers and businesses that is only being accelerated for a post-COVID world. 5G has the ability to create new industries, products, and business models. Now, as 3G and 4G unlocked the app economy, 5G will unlock new high bandwidth, IoT, and ultra-low latency products and businesses. 5G will improve productivity and optimize costs, leading to increased economic output from the same inputs. And 5G can improve service quality significantly, and therefore consumer willingness to pay for goods and services. So, according to Accenture, as the effect of 5G cascades through the European economy, it will drive up to 2 trillion euros in sales, create or transform up to 20 million jobs, and contribute up to 1 trillion euros to European GDP between now and 2025. Now let's look at some of the key markets in Eastern Europe and the CIS. Now, looking at the current vendor breakdown in Russia, Samsung and Xiaomi are the front runners. Apple is there or thereabouts, but realme is rapidly growing and is likely to soon overtake Honor, which is still suffering a bit of a hangover from its former ties with Huawei. And Russia is at the beginning of its 5G journey, but the transition is facing strong headwinds from certain areas such as spectrum availability, regulation, and concerns around the use of foreign 5G equipment. As such, there is yet to be a commercial 5G network launch in Russia, although that hasn't stopped 5G devices being sold in the country. Just under a quarter of smartphones sold in Russia in Q1 of this year were 5G enabled, behind both the European and global average. Yes, but it is still early days. So who is currently selling 5G smartphones in Russia? Now, Apple dominates, accounting for over half of 5G phones sold in the country in Q1 this year. And the top 3 5G devices sold in Q1 were iPhone 12s. Now, given the lack of 5G in the country, it is most likely that people in Russia bought the new iPhone 12 because it was the latest iPhone, not because it was a 5G phone. Now, similarly, a tendency to gravitate towards flagship models in Russia will have given Samsung a boost with the Galaxy S21. And growing sales of 5G devices in Russia is a good thing. Now, while consumers can't yet use 5G, seeding the installed base with more 5G devices will future-proof the market and allow people to quickly transition to become full 5G users once the capability is there. And the availability of 5G devices across all price points, not just at the top end, is key to getting 5G devices into as many hands as possible. And this is not unique to Russia. There are other markets, for example, in India, where 5G devices are already selling well despite the lack of 5G networks. So adoption of devices ahead of networks rolling out means the consumer base is there, ready and willing for when 5G becomes available in Russia, which we expect to happen towards the end of this year. And this shift to 5G promises a significant uplift in economic growth and productivity in Russia. Estimates from GSMA Intelligence indicate that 5G will benefit the Russian economy by more than $5.2 billion by 2025 in terms of GDP uplift, equivalent to an additional 0.3% of GDP. And by 2030, the benefits of further 5G adoption are expected to grow the uplift to $16 billion per year, equating to 0.9% of GDP. Overall, the expected total cumulative benefit of 5G to the Russian economy equates to $60 billion between 2020 and 2030. In Turkey, Samsung is currently the clear leader. However, the battle for second place is intense, and Xiaomi is growing fast. We expect Xiaomi to become the second largest smartphone vendor in the country very soon indeed. As with many other markets across Eastern Europe, Turkey has yet to launch 5G, but it is imminent. Trials are ongoing, most notably the announcement in March of a 5G speed world record achieved by Turk Telekom and Nokia. Meanwhile, over a quarter of smartphones sold in Turkey in Q1 were 5G enabled, so the country is well placed for 5G, and demand should pick up in 2022 once commercial 5G services are launched later this year. In terms of current 5G smartphone sales, Apple currently dominates. The top 4 5G smartphones were variants of the iPhone 12, and Apple accounted for almost 60% of 5G phones sold in Turkey in Q1 this year. Looking beyond Apple, though, there is a good mix of other vendors battling it out for 5G sales, with Samsung, Oppo, Huawei, Xiaomi, and Vivo all in the mix. In Ukraine, the market is a two-horse race, with Samsung and Xiaomi the clear leaders. However, Oppo, Vivo, and especially Xiaomi and realme are growing strongly. Now, 5G is not available in Ukraine yet. However, in November 2020, the government adopted a step-by-step plan to implement 5G. The first tender will be announced in October of this year and carried out in December. Now, the deployment of 5G is expected to begin in 2022 in the bigger cities, with 5G connections started to grow in earnest in 2023. With 5G a good few years away, 5G smartphone sales volumes are still on the low side, much lower than the global and regional average. But again, it's still very early days. Now, currently, Samsung is in a dominant position for 5G in the Ukraine, partly because Apple only has a small presence in the country. And only 5 brands currently ship 5G phones to the Ukraine, but this should change over the next 12 to 18 months as the country gets closer to launching 5G. Now, that brings me to the end of my presentation, so thank you very much for listening.